So can I just open us up in prayer, and then I guess we'll get going. And so Father, thank you so much for tonight. I just thank you for these people and just each part and season that they've played in our lives as we've gone down this journey. And it's just so cool to step back and watch the way that you weave a tapestry with your people and in ministry and in life, and the way that you use that to accomplish the things that you want to accomplish. And so tonight, Lord, I just pray that I guess you would first and foremost be here, but also just give us clarity on what it might look like moving forward together as a team. And God, I just pray mostly for the whole purpose that we're here, God, that there might just be an opportunity to further reach the Czech people for your kingdom and your glory. And so we thank you for this opportunity, and we pray it all in your name. Amen.
We just see this is a new venture from Cole's end and really from Eastwind as well. And because of Zach and Mel's history with Cole and then their service here at Eastwind, we're hoping together that both churches are going to come along behind these guys and send them. And Jesse and I, we've met several times and met with Mark here, the senior pastor as well, and have talked with our elders from our end about how this might look. And so we're still kind of working out a couple of the little details, but we're hoping that, I don't see why it's not going to happen, but together as churches we're going to be able to support these guys and send them and support them for years, hopefully. So that's, I'm here representing the Cole end, and then we've got Jesse here representing the church here, and so it's kind of what brought us together. And so that's why we've got folks from both churches seeing how we can support these guys. So.
Which is exciting and
yeah.
cool. And then, I guess even before I jump into all this stuff, as I kind of mentioned in the prayer, it's been so fantastic, just like the different seasons of life that each one of you have walked alongside both Mel and I with. And so just the fact that you're here means the world to both of us. And we just love you guys, and thanks for being here. So without further ado, a lot of you actually already kind of know the story, so maybe some of this will be repeat, but really kind of our story started back, I guess, when we were dating, and both of us had kind of a interest in traveling and missions. And after we had gotten married, we had thought, hey, wouldn't it be cool to maybe live overseas for a little while and have a different cultural experience. And even when we were dating, we went to Urbana and done a few other things. And I was in a band called Red Martin for a while, and during that time we had gotten the opportunity to go to India with the Luis Palau Next Generation Alliance, and just kind of have some really cool experiences that were missions related and gave us the opportunity to travel, whereas we probably wouldn't have been able to do that otherwise. And actually that was one of the major things that happened when I had actually first got the opportunity to go to the Czech Republic in 2012 with the rescue team from Cole. Mel wasn't a part of that trip, but let's see if I can get some of these pictures up here. So you might recognize yourself here.
Every picture.
So there's this group of people. There's your high school sweetheart or whatever it was. Junior high. So this was the group that went in 2012. This was my first venture to the Czech Republic, and it was actually it was pretty amazing. And those of you who were on that trip will know. And I guess the thing that I most want to say is really kind of how it was different from the other trips that me or Mel had been on, whether it was Mexico or going over to India or wherever we had traveled. I think really towards the end of those trips, I kind of felt like we'd gone over there for a purpose, and we had done our job, whether it's building a house or whatever for the 2 or 3 weeks that you're over there, and you kind of get to the end of it and you're like, okay, we've done our job and our work, and like kind of missing home now. I'm ready to go back. And but when we went over to the Czech Republic, it was different. And so I just want to share just a brief picture into why that was different. And so I actually found some of the content that we had prepared for that Senders team meeting shortly after that first trip, and I kind of cut some of that out this morning. The first concert in Schumburg. It says, on Friday we traveled to Schumburg for our very first concert, which was part of the National Youth Conference. We pulled up to the church and I felt somewhat disappointed. A few people staggered out of the church from the conference event that had just ended. Only a few. When we entered, my suspicions were confirmed. The church was small. Our concerts were not to be about numbers. However, I still felt like that we wouldn't be doing much by singing to a small group of people spending their weekend listening to theological lectures. Jared and his team expected 40 to 60 people to come to the 7 o'clock concert. It was about 6:30 and we were doing sound check. The people began to trickle in when they heard the music. Then came a steady flow of people. They came until the pews were full and the balcony was full, and people were sitting on the floor and in the aisleways and in the doorways. And as we began playing our first few songs, we saw that people were standing outside listening because it was too crowded to enter. Martin, who was playing the violin with us, had grown up attending this church, and he looked at us with a gleam of stifled tears in his eyes as he whispered, "I've never seen this church this full." I felt it was going to be an amazing evening. The welcoming applause that deafened and continued until the music started. A standing ovation before we even played a note. How like God, our acceptance was not based on our performance. Sharia began the concert singing "Hear, O Israel," and as she sang these words, chills ran through me and tears filled my eyes. Her voice sounded like an angel singing me from heaven. The people quieted, and I knew that God was in this room. And it really was just an amazing night, and you could just feel God in that room. And for these youth, the reason I wanted to show pictures is you can literally see, like, in their eyes and in their expressions and just their body language and demeanor, that God was doing something in that room. And I love this one, Jared's, there, and it was just an amazing, and that was the first, that was like the first night that we had gotten there. And, the W.
Oh, right there.
Yeah. And afterwards, just the responsiveness, right, to these Czech youth, and asking questions, and it really began kind of this eye-opening experience that God was doing something in the Czech Republic, and particularly in the youth, and that there was a hunger that for some reason wasn't getting quenched, or that there weren't people to engage them on that level. He was starting to kind of stir something up in me, and then we got to our debrief in Nikolov, and the last couple of days, and Jared and Daniela Kenning, who I didn't mention, but was in that picture, who does ministry over there. They've been over there he's been over there for about the past 10 years, and works with the youth, and they were sharing kind of one of the last nights that they were looking at, maybe trying to find somebody that they could partner with. It was just them, and boy, it would be sure it would be nice if there was a couple or some, somebody that they could, we could be praying for that might show up. And he started going through this list, and it'd be great if, somebody that, had a heart for counseling or something that could help, and just started going through this list. And it was just like, okay, so, God had been doing something in me, and now it was almost like the first step of confirmation when Jared started sharing. And it was late, again, like the last night, and I, everybody else had gone to bed, and I just kind of sat there, and I was like, I know it's late, Jared, but do you have a few more minutes? And we talked a little bit about kind of what God's doing in my heart, and maybe there's the potential that, we could be partners with you. And that was really just the beginning of everything, and that was, like I said, all the way back in 2012, and of course, I came back and kind of shared that with Mel, thinking she was going to think I was nuts and, that I was maybe, on this high or something. And but surprisingly, she was really open to it. And she said, well, let's pray about it and, give it some time and see what God does with it. And so we did, and that will pass to you.
So between then, the first time Zach went in 2012, and now, we've returned over there 3 different times, just to explore this possibility, to kind of take steps forward to see, one, we needed to see, I was open to the idea. Did I also feel this calling, to go over to the Czech Republic as well? I was also in grad school working on my master's degree in counseling, and I needed to get that degree. So I did. I graduated in 2015. We went over there 3 times, all times meeting with the Kennings, making sure that they were comfortable with us and we were comfortable with them. Not just, making an assumption, yeah, we want to go over there and help you, just making sure
Please don't send them.
they hadn't changed their mind and said, no, we don't want you over here. So, they were still continuing to say, yes, we want to partner with you, let's continue walking down this path. So Zach and I, started looking up different mission sending agencies, and that took about 6 months, trying to find a good fit for us. And also an agency that was comfortable with sending us into a project or a partnership that they weren't, they didn't create themselves. And World Venture does that with different global outreach workers, and we're very comfortable with that. So, we're partnering with the Kennings, who are partnered with, sent from Cole, partnered with Cole, also with Josiah Venture in the Czech Republic. But we needed a missionary sending agency who would be partnering with us to help us on the logistics and also the support and care for when we're over there on the field. So in last December, we went for an interview with World Venture, and they officially accepted us and they appointed us as World Venture missionaries. And so that happened in December, and we've just been continuing this process of training and preparation, and we're at this point where Zachary made it public to the congregation at Eastwind that this is where God is leading us, and we're in the process of partner development, and this is kind of part of that process as well. And just looking forward to the future and how we can do ministry with Jared and Daniela and support them in ministering to the Czech Christian leaders in their own churches with discipleship and training, but also some aspect of evangelism as well, because a lot of people haven't even heard the gospel or haven't been introduced to God. So we want to help them with their leadership team, as well as with the camps that they do at a place called Trogna, where it's youth that come meet 5 times a year. So there's a small level of marriage ministry, possibly that could happen. And kind of even further down the road, Zach is gifted in music and music ministry and training worship leaders and worship teams, and I have my training in marriage and family counseling, and so I'd be very surprised if those weren't put to use in some way. Let me think. So that brings us to today, and why we're here is for the Senders team information meeting, and unless we should add anything else, we can turn the time over to you, Pastor.
That's a good start, but maybe should, just that little framework. As these guys mentioned, the Kenning family they're part of the Cole family, and actually we serve as the sending entity for them. We have some of our workers where we consider them staff of our church, and then we support and encourage and actually are the sending piece for them. And the Kenning family is one of those. And as Mel mentioned, as far as just to me, it's important for you guys to realize just one little historical thing about the Czech Republic is that they're actually classified as a country that's it's an unreached people. And what that means is that when they look at evangelical believers, and so that's all kinds of faith that we would say, or understand that faith comes with faith you come to know Jesus Christ, and that you have a need for that a relationship with Him. So it doesn't necessarily include Catholicism, so it's more of the evangelical faith. But as far as the Czech Republic, it's less than 1% of the population are evangelicals. And Olomouc, the city where Záchymel looking at going to be with the Kennings, I think Jared told me it's about 140,000 people are in Olomouc, and they only know of about 500 believers. And so, to me, there's a tremendous mission field. So there's definitely an evangelistic part that these guys can be part of, as well as really discipling, for the believers that are there. So it's great to to be a part of that journey with them. As well, I just want to mention the organization World Venture that they're partnering with. And actually, I'd hoped somebody from World Venture was going to be here tonight.
Yeah.
And because she's actually coming in to do a few things with me this week, but she got sick and just didn't make the trip from, I know, so she got, so it shows you how much they love you. But no, she...
What about her spousal unit? At least half the support.
She's single, actually.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, she was going to be here tonight just to kind of represent World Venture, but also her specialty is what we're doing tonight, of really just helping people to know how they can come alongside and support a worker. But anyway, hopefully she's going to be back in the fall. Cole's going to bring her in to do actually some training for senders teams. And so if that all happens, we'll let you know. And if you guys are, signing your life away here tonight. But anyway, let me tell you a little bit about what Senders Group is. And I've got a little book, but actually I didn't get all my books for you Coleites. If you guys can not grab one, and then I'll get you one later this week when they come in here. But do you guys have a copy of this? Okay, so when you guys grab one, I know Jesse, you've got one, right? So, okay.
So that would just be from you.
So if you guys keep one, actually one of you guys can grab that, and I'll get some more. And this is.
We're married, we can share.
Yeah, this isn't homework for you. I mean, you can do what you want with the book, but I found it's just a good framework to help you to see if you had an ideal team that would support Zach and Mel, this is what it could look like. And basically what a senders team is, it is really what the name says, is you're going to be a part of helping send them to the Czech Republic. But then beyond that, you serve as a support for them while they're there. And yeah, Jesse and I will do our part from the church's end of supporting, but really, we have, I just know, for me, I've got quite a few workers that I'm working with, and so it's just great to, and actually our jobs as pastors is to equip others to do the work of the ministry, and so it's just great when we can help equip others to come alongside and support these guys. But as well, to me what's cool is it just expands the vision of what they're doing in the Czech Republic by having other folks join them along the journey. And so what it means for you guys is really will be up to you what the senders team looks like. To me, the one key is that somebody would be willing to kind of run point for the team, at least, I would say at least initially till these guys get to the field, and then if you kind of want to restructure. But as you guys know, any team is only as effective as that point person. And from this, kind of moving forward, Zach and Mel will kind of drive that process a little bit as Jesse and I work with them and what they need to get to the Czech. But particularly once they get there, they don't really want to, direct you in a sense. It's really you're there to support them, and they'll give you perspective as to what they need, but then it's your role and responsibility to kind of respond to that as needed. But what the team looks like I said, is really kind of up to you. We've got a number of these senders teams at Cole and others that I've worked with, and some are super structured, where everybody's got a role and responsibility, and which works for some people. Others are more organic, and they just kind of respond to as there's a need. They meet anywhere from monthly to quarterly or as needed. At the beginning here, there's probably could be a few more things for you guys to kind of talk through and decide how you can support these guys. And then once they kind of get moving on their road, the needs change a little bit, and then particularly once they leave for the Czech Republic, the needs change from there. So it's kind of however you guys want to structure it. And I find just a little bit of structure is helpful. I think to be you guys know Jody and Tim Sherwood and Coles from our church, and I mean they've got a really large team. There's like 20 people on it, and I mean they are super structured, and I mean it's great, but it kind of drives me a little crazy too, because they have an agenda for their meeting, and everybody does their little reports, and for me I just think of poor Jody and Tim, that because each person talks to them, which, I mean, they talk as friends, but then they talk all this business stuff, and it's like, man, that's a lot of work for them to keep up with. I mean, wouldn't it be easier if they're just one person who kind of represented, kind of the business stuff? But that'll be up to you guys and how you might want to structure that. But for sure, you should realize there's a commitment to this, and I would, at least on the front end, if you would be willing to commit. If you're going to say yes, we want to be a part of this team, at least until these guys get to the field, just because you can be a part of that journey with them, and then, if you want to kind of, decide, hey, am I in for this at the long haul? That's a good time once they get there and kind of get settled to kind of regroup yourself. But whether there's other people who join the team, that's kind of up to you guys as well. My thing is to be a support to you guys and to give you some resources as you move forward, maybe to help you problem solve if there's a thing, an issue or whatever. But, really together we'll, at least in the beginning, kind of look at, hey, what do we need to support these guys? Because, it'll be based on, what the different skill sets that they bring, and the thing as far as preparation. Mel mentioned this concept, partner development. That's a really nice way to say raising money. And so, there's a role that you guys will play in that. Not that, I hope that you guys will choose to financially support these guys, but most importantly that you would pray for them, and I know I believe you will, so that's part of the reason you're here tonight. But that you'll help them in that process, because there's going to be a point where they're just going to need some encouragement, and then there's going to be days where they're going to be really excited, and there's going to be some days they're wondering what in the world did we get ourselves into. And we've already kind of have worked through a couple of those already, and and they'll just wonder, okay, Lord, this is gonna, we were hoping, a year and a half, 2 years from now to be there, and man, this looks like, how is this all going to come together? And then there's just practical stuff too. I mean, and decisions they've got to make with their vehicles and possessions, and what do they ship? Dog, and I don't know all the decisions, but these are things. But these are some things that you can come alongside them and help. And dogs are easier to pass off than cats. We found that. They are. We found that when we moved from Portland, because like shelters won't take adult cats. They just make too many other cats, and even they. Anyway.
Squirrel.
Yeah.
So what were we saying about dogs? No.
Anyway, I don't know what it is about. Dogs are easier to trying to think of a nice way to pass them off. That's not to adopt it. Let's say that. But anyway, repurpose.
You were our cat.
Yeah. I will serve a purpose for something.
Yeah. So as far as you guys, what we want to do tonight, just give you one just to hear kind of where Zach and Mel are at this point, and they are at the beginning stage of putting together what's it going to cost for them to get to the Czech Republic, as well as what's it going to cost when they're there. They're working with both of our churches as to next steps with that. And I mean, I know from our end, there's still, our committee's meeting in a couple weeks to kind of make a decision on what we're gonna do, and then they've got to meet with our elders. And I know there'll be some discussions down the road here as to, on the budgetary end, but then there's also, looking at replacing them and their ministry here. And I encourage Zach that, when he does talk to the board here, to make sure they don't, he's got a job for a while, that he's not leaving right away, because it's going to be 1.5 years to probably 2 years before it all comes together. I mean, but, the Lord's in that.
Yeah.
But historically, it takes about 1.5 years to get the resources together. And then plus, too, I mean, the transition here, Zach and Mel want to do it well and leave them in a good position with, hopefully a good replacement and so on. But, so with that, yeah, so it's just you're thinking about, hey, my guess is you might meet once a month here to start. It might be maybe every other month. I mean, that'll be, kind of what we determine together. And then at some point, you can kind of decide, how much you need to meet and what can you do remotely and different things. And Harriet, I don't know what you might commit yourself to beyond just being present at a meeting and talking through what needs to be there. But really, to me, the biggest thing would be to pray together and just to hear how Zach and Mel are doing, and where they might need some encouragement, as well as just to celebrate together. And then we hope that with having representatives from both churches can kind of help bridge that relationship. Because for Cole, this is a new thing too. They have not done this before, and I'm introducing some new pathways for them.
It's actually
Yeah, well, I realized,
it's all about semantics
I'm following a great guy who'd been there for 19 years and had really did a phenomenal job. And, but, definitely the honeymoon is over for me, and I've had my first couple of, brawls, but I'm kidding. No, I've introduced, hey, we're going to do a couple of things a little differently. And this is one of those things. It's just to realize that, Cole has been gifted with some things, and I think it would be good for us to share that with another church and to do it together. And I think for them, I mean, that it's just going to strengthen their support by having a couple churches right out of the gate for them. But so I don't know if you got any questions about what a senders team is and what it might look like, what you might be saying yes or no to, and
Well, it sounds like it's kind of per individual group.
yeah.
So it's not like any one particular format that you do.
Yeah, I think it needs to fit your guys' personalities, your skill set, your interest level. But yeah.
I like what this book says here on the bottom, supporting them and the return home.
Well, you know,
I'm in it as long as that part is
actually, that's a good segue to just a little thing that maybe you guys will have right out of the gate here. Actually, the Kenning family's going to be here this summer. In about a month, they're going to arrive here in Boise to be here for a couple of months. And actually, Eastwind has invited Jared to speak on Saturday and Sunday morning on the 29th through 30th of July. And our hope is actually on the Saturday night, I guess quite often some folks go out to dinner after the service, and so we'll invite the Kennings and we'll go out to eat together that night. But then Sunday, after the morning services, to have a little lunch together. And for people to meet the Kennings, to hear the vision of, just like, Zach and Mel shared tonight, and then to kind of give some foreshadowing as to where they're going. And So really kind of one of your first things would be to help with that little gathering on the 30th. And because that's one of the roles that one of the things the Senders team does do is when their workers come home, is to, we call them a vision meeting, which is kind of an interesting thing, because vision to me is like something on the front end.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, it's actually pretty good because as I thought about it more, is that they're coming back to give you an update on the vision, and then they're also foreshadowing what's going to happen in their next term. And so, yeah, it would be great once Zach and Mel go to see them, maybe the next year. But really, it's good if they're there for a couple of years, just for language in particular, but also it just helps in that transition. But that doesn't mean you guys can't go visit them. But yeah, so when they come home, and actually a lot of workers now, it's about every 2 years they're coming home, and sometimes even more. It just depends on. But at least initially, it's good for them on the cultural thing to make a good 2-year run at it, and then go from there. So. But yes, you do get to welcome them back. But speaking of visiting, we hope that there's going to actually be a little rescue team that's going to go next summer. And actually, Adrian and the elders are meeting Monday night to make that decision. I would be surprised they say no, but at least bless that. And so, yeah, Jared has asked, actually next year is the 50th anniversary of the camp that, actually last summer you guys served at the camp actually. And so they have invited, they're inviting some folks over. Jesse, that'd be something for us to kind of think about if there'd be somebody from Eastwind that could go, at least for that weekend. But Jared's asked if maybe the rescue, whoever rescue might be, to come like the weekend before that and do a concert and some training the weekend before. And so, and as I've kind of talked with these guys, that would be really a good time for them to go too, with an idea. They have a pretty good idea at that point when they might be moving permanently, so they can look at some housing options and some other things. But anyway, that's kind of the big picture where we're at. So I don't know if there's any other questions, comments.
I'm just excited about, Jared and Daniela, that it worked out that they'd be, coming this summer on furlough, because I feel like, as I've kind of shared, to the, Eastwind body here, and we mentioned that name, like, they have no connection to that, right? They have no face.
A few people, because Jared did come last time on furlough.
Yeah.
A few people met them.
But, yeah. But just, I think, church-wide, it'll be great to have some kind of association with, like, who are these people, especially for people who want to, like, maybe buy into the vision here. It's like, who are they partnering with, and what are they about, and what are, who are those people, and, because, in that partnership, I feel like they're, really supporting the unit, right? They are supporting us, but they're really buying into what, we're doing together over in the Czech Republic, and so it'll be great to have them here.
So do you guys always have Saturday night services?
Yeah.
Because when Danielle and I went to the church that Laura Armstrong's parents went to this last weekend, and her first comment was, "This just reminds me of Trogman, this is so neat." She goes, "I do want to go to Cole, but I think she should come here too."
Who?
So Daniela,
Oh.
because she said to me that she would stand up and tell people what Trogman meant to her. Because she said if I went to Cole, I would tell them how that meant, what that meant to me, and how it helped me spiritually. So I think if you did a Saturday night and she did one or a first service one place, second service, or so she doesn't know her schedule yet. She told me today she doesn't have a schedule, but she's also asked for family camp off, so it'll depend on how many weekends they give her off. But I think if we get her here, that we should just make a plan that she comes here to support you all. Because she's eloquent enough in her speaking that she'd do a great job.
Yeah.
Yeah. For those of you that don't know, Daniela is a 25-year-old student in her master's program, international business. We met her at Team Travna
Yeah, this last trip.
last summer, and she was there at Travna as a participant. So that's, so she's now working in Sun Valley for the summer, and so we're hoping to, you know, still see her throughout the summer. And so that's who Rhonda was talking about. Daniela, the college student.
Not
University
Daniela.
student,
Not-
Daniela.
The wife of Jared.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
I'm assuming too, in this understanding that you're available to help direct us to your stuff.
Yeah, actually, usually I try to be at the center meeting. I just like to not be the person in charge and.
Calls and stuff.
Yeah, I'm a really hands-on kind of guy. And I think, well, especially at the beginning here, we'll be at as many of them as I can, just to support it. That's one of the things Cole has released me to do to help these guys. And even before we actually officially approve them as workers from our end. And so that's been exciting because I've got a real long history with World Venture and know a lot of the staff from the headquarters and so it's good for me to help lean into them to know the agency and so like they've actually initially they wanted these guys to go back for 2 other trainings to Colorado, but we've convinced them that between myself and some distance stuff we can do it here, which will save them time from work and money is a big thing, you know, and at least probably a couple $1,000 a
Yeah.
pop. So that's some. I mean, it's nice that I just am able to be a resource for that, but also it's just well, and for us, I mean, we're supporting our worker as well, and so you guys are our workers too. I mean, together. So it makes sense that we do this together. So, but hey, I wanted to give you just a couple of dates here what I was thinking about. So the 29th and the 30th of July, Jared, well, probably the whole family,
We'll be here, yeah.
and they have 2 girls,
Hannah,
Hannah and Lydia, and they'll be 15 and 12, or 15 and 13 this summer. They're 14 and 12.
How old is Lydia?
12. Did she just turn 12?
Maybe-
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's 12 and then Hannah turns 15. I think she's just turned 15, so. But you can be praying for the girls because they're at that age where they're leaving, they're giving up their summer in Czech. And actually, they're probably more Czech than they are American. And actually, their English has a Czech accent, which I was visiting them in November, and I was like, oh, okay, you definitely are.
even with Lydia?
Yeah,
Okay.
both of them, it was a Czech.
Because Lydia, you can really get it doing both. 'Cause
Yeah.
she'd kind of.
But I mean, their English was really clear, but it had a Czech accent. It was kind of interesting. And then another date is August 6th. That's a Sunday. The Kings are doing a little deal at our church that night. That's at 6 o'clock in the evening. So, I mean, you don't have any responsibility, but if you want to,
Sunday night?
it's a Sunday night on the 6th of August. So.
That's their vision.
Oh, is it?
That's their vision. I mean, they'll probably do something, well, it'll be
That
different.
works.
It'll be different there than what they do here. I mean, here I think they'll probably tell you a little bit of their history and how they got to Czech and answer some questions, but, there will be. What's
Darn
that?
it!
Yeah.
My
Who that?
last 90th
Oh,
birthday
yeah.
party
Yeah,
that night. Shoot.
okay.
I didn't put that two and two together till just now.
Yeah.
Normally it would be it.
Yeah, because actually that morning Jared's speaking at our church and then he's doing a little vision, what do you call it, vision dessert on that night. But yeah. But like I said, yeah, they'll be in town and I know Jesse, you've already kind of talked about it. We can get together with Mark as well and with Jared in particular, just kind of make Mark, just needs to hear the vision.
Yeah.
Because I mean, that's one other comment I was trying to make is that what I always hope is that, as people come alongside and support Zach and Mel, but hopefully they can connect people to the bigger vision of what's going on in the Czech Republic and in Olomouc. And so if God ever, had you guys not, returned to the States, that people still would be invested in what's going on there. And man, I know that's for the church here, that's, important, I call it handles, things that people in the church can grab onto, because not everybody's gonna go to the Czech Republic, and not everybody can support financially, but there'll be other ways that they can support that ministry, and there's that, we wanna explore what are those handles that they can grab onto, and that's why, I know for Mark here, that's pretty significant, and it is for us too, just how does this fit into our vision as a church and what we're doing? Because this is a new thing for Eastwind. This will be really the first. Is this the first maybe folks from your church that you might send, or if you had some other?
We have, but not in this kind of an official capacity. There's been several people that have gone out and we've given them a table and a booth and done a little presentation, and that's about it. So, yeah.
But to say
This would be different.
possibly where you partner.
Hopefully, yeah, this would be different.
Well, and even the idea, obviously, everything's kind of in its infancy right now, but what it might actually look like beyond just, kind of a financial support thing, but actual partnership in a similar capacity that, Cole is, that's how the whole rescue thing, happened, is that Jared and Daniela were field staff, right, of Cole in the Czech Republic, but there was this short-term team that, was sent to, help them, over a short-term period, just a couple of weeks, and that's what exposed me to it. And so it's really hard to say because, missions is such a huge field, and you never know what's, gonna resonate with someone, or what, when God's gonna place, a people on, someone's heart. And I know we can't, especially being a smaller church here than Cole is, a smaller body, we can't be everywhere. We can't send people, to, everywhere, and, resources are limited and all that. But my hope, I guess, is that, that maybe in some way, something, could develop that would give people options, that, we've been really involved in Africa. But, if there isn't some kind of a resonance or something with, Africa, that maybe somebody would resonate with Europe here, or again, particularly the Czech people. And it just gives them, opportunities. And so I guess that's my best case scenario, right? It's like we get to be sent by Eastwind, that'd be great, but it'd be really cool if it wasn't like, thanks for being here for 7-8 years, peace out, good luck. Don't let
If you
the
were
door hit you.
still part of the body of Eastwood,
Yeah.
you'd still be like staff
Connected, yeah.
that is working in another country. That's the desire, right? I mean, that's hopefully how.
But I think that's what's one new, right? And what I think Asher hopefully is able to, kind of provide is kind of even a vision of how that works, right? And just what it might look like here at Eastwind, and if we can do that, and just kind of wading through all that stuff together. And I think what it boils down to again too is vision and purpose. We recently went through quite a bit of stuff as a staff, and missions is really important to Eastwind. It's one of our core things, but really how you define that, and what your capacities are around that, it does look different from church to church.
And it does for us too. I mean, with the new guy coming in, I'm working on my vision to move forward, which I'm going to roll out this summer and stuff. So it's a thing to do together. And I have done these kind of partnerships before. Actually, even up to I've had 4 churches come together to send a family, and so there's things that we each can bring to the table that we're just can be stronger by doing it together versus doing it on our own. So, any other questions, comments?
As we meet, I see
Yeah.
a challenge, this is what we'll
Yeah.
probably be talking about though, as we meet to come together, just how we get you guys in front of Cole. If we are really sending you a Cole, it's reintroducing you, you've been gone a long time now, So that's gonna be a challenge, is what I'm saying, on how we do that. So that's
Actually,
gonna be-
I think we've got, the Kramers just did like that pre-launch vision thing, and so I think there's some ways we can, one thing we coordinating, how can we steal them away like on a Sunday morning, because at least one Sunday morning would be great to have them, to be there, but, we'll figure that out. And, but yeah, I mean, but to me, those are the fun
I've seen
challenges
him
to
away for
have.
several Sundays.
Yeah, because for me,
I still miss him. As you can imagine, I've never really let go of that. He's still part of us, and I think of him as our missionary over here on the east end.
This even.
Send him over to the heathens for
I guess this way.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
that's
Because
funny.
we love you all.
Because we-
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. I'm in your hood.
That's
We all love you guys. We all have close ties with
Yeah.
you, so, which is very cool. That's two churches that will come together.
So just to kind of wrap it up, so your thing is to pray about, whether you want to say, yeah, we'll be a part of the team, or even if you want to say, hey, we're willing to explore it for a little while, let these guys know. I mean, they'll kind of bug you here in a couple of weeks. But the other thing too is if one of you would be willing to say, yeah, I'd like to at least kind of run point for a while, that would be.
Yeah, because realize we haven't done this either.
Yeah, no, they haven't. And so, and it could be a shared thing, and don't, to me, what it means is just the buck stops with somebody, so you're the one who reminds people that you've got a meeting, and when we meet, you kind of say, hey, here's where, just make sure you kind of stay on task. Whatever that
People
looks
start
like
talking about dogs and
yeah,
cats.
for that hour, and probably there'll be,
Should we volunteer, John?
That's John. Hey, John. You're elected, buddy.
But that's a good point, because you don't have to physically be here too to be a part of the team, and so the technology.
We won't tell them it's.
Yeah. Well,
They'll be like,
there's
"Wait a
one
minute."
couple that doesn't live here, right?
Yeah.
That we know about, and so,
Yeah.
which is kind of cool, because to me that opens another door for them in another location, who's got a network of friends and stuff like
Dan and
that.
Miriam Wiedeback,
Oh, okay.
Oh,
Yeah, so,
great, but yet,
we have their.
we know them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, they're still.
Yeah, there's a connectedness because
Hi, Dan and Miriam, and congratulations.
Yeah, see. So this is why they couldn't be here via Skype. I mean, literally,
Yeah.
matter of last couple days, and there's a good. So they're tied up, but we go way back. Yeah, Daniel's helping out there for a
Base
while.
for us.
Yeah, so they've been.
Tech stuff. Yeah, so I'll
Genius.
even again, just kind of that cool way that God weaves lives and different seasons of ministry and stuff together, and now they've got a whole new task. So,
Cool.
yeah. But anyways, I think we're doing pretty, we're like right on the.
hour here, so.
So,
Well, hey, Jesse, you want to just close in prayer here, is that, and then we can chat?
Yeah,
if we
I'd
want
love to touch base with you.
And I should say, I don't know if you want to throw anything in here too at this point, so.
representing Eastwind.
Yeah, no, I think it would be great if there were a way to maybe get you before our board or something, just to introduce kind of the model of how you guys do field staff with your missionaries through Cole.
Okay.
Because that's kind of a new or a different concept, I guess. So that would be kind of cool to hear. Maybe we can chat about some of that later. So yeah, let's pray. Dear Heavenly Father, we are just so grateful for this amazing world that you have created, and there are people all over it that reflect and bear your image, God. But many of those people don't know you or about you. And Father, we just thank you for placing this burden in the hearts and minds of Zach and Mel, and for their experiences leading them to this point. God, we're just grateful for their service here at Eastwind and their relationships with all of us from Cole and for just this community here. And God, we just ask that you would guide and direct them in this process and prepare them for the ministry that you have placed on their hearts. And we are just grateful for the opportunity to be a part of their lives and for opportunity to be a part of this sending team moving forward as they get ready to head out into the field. And Lord, we just ask for ourselves for wisdom and guidance and clarity in this whole process as well. And we pray these things in Jesus' name. Amen.